to Jonathan Taylor. Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor made a man miss the line of scrimmage and then runs it into pay dirt and a one-handed INT. Are you kidding me? Kenny Moore.
What a play by Nyheim Hines.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
What is going on, Colts Nation? Welcome back to another episode of the Bring the Juice Colts podcast. Day 2 of Indianapolis Colts training camp has come and gone. Mr. Zak Keefer joins me live from Colts camp down in Westfield. Zak, how you doing, man? Good to be back at camp after a year off?
Yeah, I think I dropped about 5 pounds in sweat yesterday, so it started to really feel like camp right away. So it's really good to be back. It's really good to have the fans back. It feels like football again. Last year just didn't feel right.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of weird. Like, so used to going down there, and then it's just nothing. So definitely great to have everybody back and pretty much full capacity, which is awesome. Zak, a couple injuries of note. Obviously, Nyheim Hines missed the second day of practice. Julian Davenport as well. George Odom, Darius Leonard, Sean Davis. And the big one was Ryan Kelly. What did you see from Ryan Kelly's injury? I know people were speculating maybe an elbow injury of some sort. What kind of update do you have on him?
Yeah, all I can tell you is what I saw, and this dude was in some pain. Elbow, arm, it looked like he got hit on it, and it got hit wrong. Went to the trainers and got it wrapped up pretty quickly. Then he put his mask on, which told me his day was over. So don't want to speculate, don't want to run too far down the rabbit hole. It's always tempting to do that this time of year when you see a guy leave. He could be back tomorrow. He could be back next Tuesday. I don't know. We're not getting those injury updates at this moment because the head coach is on the COVID list and he's not able to talk to us after practice. So we'll see. But look, if Ryan Kelly was in pain, you know it hurt because that's one of the toughest guys in this team.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess if there is a silver lining here, it's that second-year guy, Danny Pinter, got some action at center. How did he hold up?
Yeah, he looked good. He had one bad snap, which you don't really ever see from Ryan Kelly, but Pinter looked good, and that's a really key spot. If they can develop, and I think a lot of people are overlooking this, and look, there's other issues on this team right now that are more important, but they need to find some depth at offensive line, and obviously the tackle spot's very important, but Pinter is a guy they really like, and he stepped in and played pretty well.
That's always good news. That's good to hear. I felt like he played pretty well in the couple snaps that he had last year. So it's great to see he's continuing to develop, getting more run there with some of the ones there. But, I mean, the big thing of the day, the big news of the day, Zak, has to be Carson Wentz. I mean, fantastic day from the quarterback from number 2. He finished 13-17 today, no touchdowns or interceptions. And obviously the big highlight play was him scrambling and throwing a 40-yard bomb to Zach Pascal. What did you see from Carson Wentz today? And, you know, obviously yesterday was kind of an off day for all the quarterbacks. What did you see from him and Jacob Eason today?
Yeah, they were both a lot better today. And they were both really shaky at the start of yesterday's practice. And look, I've covered enough training camp to know that quarterbacks usually come out a little off. They just haven't seen live defenses. And it's just a little bit different when you got someone in your face. And Wentz was off. I think he was 1 for 5 to start yesterday. And Eason just had a bad day. Let's just call it what it was. They were much better today. I think Carson hit his first 4. And the fourth pass was about a 40-yarder to Pascal. He had to scramble out of the pocket. I think he was throwing against his body and just flung it up there with ease. And Pascal made a great move. I think he beat Kenny Moore for the catch. So that's what you're going to see a lot of in this camp. And I think in the preseason and then when we get to the regular season are highlight plays like that. But you saw Wentz do a little bit of everything today. He had some rockets that went about 10 to 15 yards. You can see the arm strength there. You can see the big plays down the field like that one to Pascal. And then he's been really sharp with the running backs as well. And that's probably something that maybe we took for granted because Phillip Rivers was so good at that last year. But the dump-offs, those aren't always the easiest throw. A lot of times you're doing that at a weird arm angle. And he hit Marlon Mack today, and he hit Jonathan Taylor today. And Jordan Wilkins made some nice plays as well.
Yeah, it seems like he's developing that chemistry already with Zach Pascal from all indications of what I've kind of heard. So that's obviously really good news that he's starting to develop that rap with some of these guys, which is great. What were some other standouts from camp that really you took note of today?
I thought Tyquan Lewis had a really good day, and that's a guy that's fighting for a starting spot on the left defensive end spot. One of the guys he's fighting with, Kemoko Turay. Now, Turay's running with the twos, and I think they're going to bring him along slowly because of that ankle, but he had play late in practice, and it was against the twos, but he was in the quarterback's lap within 2 seconds, and you could see the speed and the get off, and okay, all right, maybe we'll see him do it again tomorrow and see him do it again next week, and good little indicator that Turay's got a little bit of that juice back. I thought Jack Doyle made some terrific catches today. Like, there were two that he made that should have been dropped, that should have been incompletions. And Jack pulls them in like he always does. Jonathan Taylor looks really strong. Marlon Mack is carving up the second team. I mean, Marlon Mack is the second team running back. He's had a couple runs where you're like, oh, you forget how good Marlon Mack was, because of the injury. And he was terrific last year in training camp. And I thought he was going to have a huge season. Jonathan Taylor said the same thing earlier this week. He said he was going to have a great year. Remember, he got hurt that first quarter in Jacksonville. So Michael Pittman Jr., Zach Pascal in the receiving. Harris Cable has looked good 2 days in a row. And you forget how big and strong and smooth he is. And I know everybody out there is saying, wait, he's going to get hurt, right? Well, what if he doesn't? What if he doesn't get hurt? He could be a really big player in this offense.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like the defensive line, from what I heard, had a really good day. It seems like they've been really turning it up. Even guys like Andrew Brown, somebody that nobody really talks about, but he had a sack today, and it looks like that competition behind DeForest Buckner and Grover Stewart for that third defensive tackle might be a little interesting, Zach.
Yeah, and don't forget about Woods from Dallas. I mean, he broke through at least a couple times over the first 2 days. And that guy is big. I mean, he's got a belly on him. I don't want to block him. I don't want to block him. And that's a guy that played in this league, and he's proven it. So we did talk to Matt Eberflus not to shift away, but we did talk about the defensive end position today. And I asked Flus, are those jobs just completely wide open? Because remember, Justin Houston's not coming back. Nico Autry's in Tennessee. And he said, I'm looking at them like they're completely open. So we think Kwity Paye is the answer at right defensive end. They've kind of put him there. And maybe it's Toure on the left, maybe it's Tyquan Lewis, but that's the position group that Chris Ballard is most excited to watch, and I think he's going to pay the most attention to during this camp. Because he's got a couple jobs that are open, and you know how important that position is to him.
Absolutely, yeah, and they've invested so much. You were hoping that some of these guys would really start to show in camp. That's always obviously great news as well, but. Staying on the line, the offensive tackle position is an interesting one, with Will Holding getting the start again for the second consecutive day. What's your take with that? Because I think a lot of us were expecting Sam Tevi to just come in and kind of not just get the job, but earn the job.
Yeah, I'm not entirely surprised. They had Holden there in the spring, which tells me they like that. Now, he played well last year when he was at left tackle. Now, it's one thing to do it for one game or 2 games. It's another to do it for 5 or 6 or 7, however many Eric Fisher's out. But to be clear, that job is still very much open. That's not Will Holden's job to lose necessarily. I think Tevi's going to get some reps with the ones at some point in camp so they can see how he does. And then maybe when Julian Davenport gets back. But in my head, at least, I'm thinking it's Tevi or Holden. With Holden have a slight edge right now, but it's 2 days into camp, so let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. The last thing, Zach, I wanted to talk about, the Colts signed another corner today who was out there practicing, Holden Hill. Interesting guy from Minnesota, still very young, 6'2". He's played in about 28 games and started about 4 of them. So what did you see from him? And also, what do you expect for him potentially as this back, this fight for that number 2 outside corner spot kind of heats up here in camp?
Yeah, I didn't see a ton from him today. He didn't get a lot of reps, probably just getting him acclimated. It was a rough day for Rockison. Let's just call it what it is. He got beat 3 or 4 times in a row in the 11-on-11 work. He did come back and make a nice breakup later in the day. But it seemed like the offense was picking on him a little bit. And he was having some conversations with the officials as well, after a jump ball situation that Michael Pittman won. So, he's the guy I'm watching, really. And Marvell Tell played really well yesterday. Rock played well yesterday. So it's going to be, a month-long evaluation. I don't want to get too high or too low on Rock, because as you know, and everybody listening knows, this guy needs to do it on Sundays in the regular season because he's had great training camps before. But those penalties and those blown assignments in the season have been what has cost him. and got him put on the bench. So that's going to be fun. But it's hard to evaluate corner right now. Xavier's not out here. TJ Carey's not out here. So Rock's getting a lot of run with the one, and so is Marvell Tell. And we'll see as camp goes. But the offense definitely had the better hand today.
That's interesting. So, Zach, you mentioned you're going to be looking at that corner spot. What are some other positions you're still looking at, and you're really intrigued to see how they play out here?
Yeah, I think there's a big opportunity for Kylan Granson at tight end. I don't think anybody in this tight end room can do what he does. And I think you'll see that when you come out to camp and watch. I mean, this guy's just fast and smooth, and he just has the look. And I think if he's the real deal, he's going to play right away. I really think that. Maybe 10 or 12 snaps a game if it's early. But I think he can catch 4 balls. I just think he could step in and really fill that wide tight end role. And he's done nothing in the first 2 days to dissuade me of that. So I've had fun watching him. I think there's an opening there tight end because he does. He doesn't do what Jack Doyle does, and he doesn't do what Mo like Cox does. And Frank likes to have that fast tight end in his offense. And the receivers have been fun. T.Y. made a ridiculous catch today on the sideline. Got popped a little bit in the helmet, but he was fine. But just a tough catch in traffic that not a lot of guys make. He went up there and made it. So I think it was Kenny Moore that was on him, and it was all over him. So that's been fun. But to be honest, I don't want to overcomplicate it. I'm watching 9 and 2. I'm watching the quarterbacks. I want to see Eason and Wentz and see what kind of work they do over the course of the month, whether it's consistent improvement, whether they have some good days, some bad days, because I think everything really this season rests on the quarterback.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be a fun month. You mentioned it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch all these battles, how these new additions play out, and how some of these young guys hopefully continue to rise to the occasion and prove their worth on this roster. Zach, thank you so much for coming on, giving us a little bit of an update from camp. It's going to be a lot of fun. Like I said off air, I'll be there on Saturdays, so would love to connect with you and other parts of the media. That'd be awesome. But take care, man. Have a great rest of your day and enjoy camp, my friend.
Thanks, Cody. Catch up with you soon, man.
See ya.